This story begins in a place few have access to, a deactivated police file, dated 1989. Inside this dusty folder, a case report was found, but it was incomplete. Several pages were missing, and on the cover, a handwritten warning in faded red ink screamed, "Do not reproduce." What secrets did this file hold that someone was so desperate to keep hidden? The case centers on a teenager. Let's call him Alex. He was just a regular kid, curious and a bit reckless. His life changed the day he found an old cassette tape in a box of his grandfather's belongings. The label was blank. Driven by curiosity, he popped it into an old player and pressed play. What he heard was unsettling. A series of low, incomprehensible whispers, a sound that seemed to crawl under his skin. He didn't understand the words, but he felt a cold dread wash over him. He turned it off, a little spooked, but figured it was just an old, weird recording. He couldn't have been more wrong. The very next day, the first strange event occurred. Alex was in his room, doing homework, when he heard a faint whisper, right by his ear, saying his name. Alex, ... He spun around, but the room was empty. The door was closed. He told his mother about it later that evening. She brushed it off, saying he must have been tired, that his imagination was running wild after listening to that strange tape. But Alex knew what he heard. It wasn't his imagination. It was real. On the second day, the terror escalated. Alex was washing his face in the bathroom. As he looked up into the mirror, he froze. For a split second, reflected behind him, stood a dark figure. It was tall, slender, and completely motionless. And from its direction, he heard the same unintelligible whisper from the recording, a cold, raspy sound that echoed in the small room. He blinked, and the figure was gone. He was alone again, his heart pounding in his chest. The mirror now felt like a gateway, and he started avoiding his own reflection. The morning of the third day brought a physical manifestation of the horror. Alex woke up with a burning sensation on the back of his neck. When he checked in the mirror, forcing himself to look, he saw it. A series of deep red scratches. They weren't random. They formed strange, intricate symbols. Later, a local historian, contacted by his panicked parents, would identify them. They were eerily similar to ancient inscriptions found in remote caves, markings associated with forgotten, cursed rituals. The curse was no longer just a sound or a fleeting image. It was now marking him, claiming him as its own. This discovery led the investigators, much later, down a dark rabbit hole of history. They uncovered records from 17th century European explorers who had documented a forbidden indigenous ritual. The texts were fragmented, filled with warnings. They spoke of a malevolent entity that could be summoned through a specific sequence of sounds. The ritual, they wrote, involved 7 whispers, each one a step closer to the victim's doom. It was a countdown to the soul being dragged away. Alex had heard the first whisper. The ritual had begun. By day 4, the phenomenon was no longer confined to Alex. The whispers began to infest the entire house. His parents heard them. His younger sister heard them. They came from everywhere and nowhere at once, from inside the walls, from the ceiling above, and even from beneath the floorboards. The house, once a sanctuary, had become a prison of sound. The whispers were constant, a maddening chorus that frayed their nerves and turned the family against each other in fear and paranoia. On the 5th day, they got visual proof that they were not alone. Alex's father, desperate for answers, had set up security cameras throughout the house the night before. When he reviewed the footage, his blood ran cold. In the grainy black and white images from the living room, a silhouette was visible. It was crouched on the ceiling, like a spider, its limbs bent at impossible angles. It moved with an unnatural fluidity, crawling across the ceiling without making a single sound, its shadowy form observing the family below. It was hunting. Day 6 arrived with a terrifying finality. The whispers had consolidated into a single, clear voice, but it was for Alex alone. He described it to his terrified parents as a cold, female voice, speaking directly into his ear, so close he could almost feel an icy breath. It delivered a simple, chilling promise. "Tomorrow," the voice warned, "you will see who I am." It was the last warning. There was no more ambiguity, no more mystery. The entity had announced its arrival. The countdown was almost over. On the 7th day, the police were called to the house. What they found was a scene of chaos. Every piece of furniture was overturned, drawers were pulled out, and belongings were strewn across the floors as if a tornado had ripped through the home. All the doors and windows were wide open. letting in the cold morning air. The family was gone. There was no sign of a struggle, no blood, nothing, and no sign of Alex. The only thing left behind was the old cassette player on the living room floor, and it was playing on a loop, repeating the same 7 whispers over and over again. The lead investigator on the case, a seasoned and skeptical detective named Miller, was determined to crack it. He didn't believe in curses or entities. He believed in evidence. Against the frantic advice of his colleagues, he took the evidence bag containing the original cassette tape and listened to it himself. Within 24 hours, he started reporting identical symptoms to his partner, whispers of his name, figures in his reflection. A week later, Detective Miller abruptly resigned from the force, citing personal reasons. He packed up his house and disappeared without a trace, just like Alex, just like the family. What was on that tape? The official police transcript, the one from the forbidden file attempts to describe it, but the words fail to capture the horror. It describes a cacophony of voices speaking in what linguists confirmed were non-existent languages. Underneath the whispers, there's a constant rhythmic sound, like shallow, strained breathing, and deep in the background, almost too faint to hear, is a long, drawn-out cry of what sounds like pure agony. The report notes that listening to the full recording for more than a minute induced feelings of intense paranoia and nausea in lab technicians. As a secret internal task force looked deeper, they made a shocking discovery. This wasn't an isolated incident. A cross-referenced file, classified at the highest level, revealed at least 14 other similar cases dating all the way back to 1920. Each one followed the same horrifying pattern. A found recording, a 7-day countdown marked by escalating paranormal events, and a final, complete disappearance of the victim and anyone close to them, all connected by the same sequence of whispers, the same ritual. Experts in esoteric folklore and acoustics, who were secretly consulted by the authorities, came to a terrifying conclusion. The ritual isn't just about the sound, it's about the act of listening. The entity is dormant until an ear receives the signal. The whispers act like a key, unlocking a door that should never be opened. They also theorized that the curse has a viral nature. Simply knowing the story, knowing the details of the 7-day countdown, can be enough to draw the entity's attention. It plants a seed of awareness in your mind, making you susceptible. The official recording was, of course, never released to the public. It's locked away in an evidence vault, so deep it might as well not exist. But legends have a way of surviving. The story of the 7 whispers has been passed down in hushed tones among law enforcement and paranormal investigators for decades, and they all end with the same unsettling warning. While you may never hear the actual recording, they say that those who hear a detailed account of the case, just like the one you've just listened to, often report the same thing: faint, strange whispers in the quietest hours of the early morning. So, when you turn off the lights tonight, listen carefully. You might not be as alone as you think. Thanks for watching.